Getting to and from the floor without the use of your hands is an essential skill to have, and it gets more and more difficult as we get older. So I'm going to walk you through just one simple pathway of getting to and from the floor, and we will drill that pathway so that we can strengthen that pathway. A lot of times you may have the range of motion or the strength to get up and down from the floor, but we just are not used to a certain pathway of getting up and down. So follow along and we will build this pathway together. It's ideal that you are comfortable in a shin box position on, doesn't have to be both sides, but at least on one side with either minimal support from the hands on the floor or without support. And it's also ideal that you can lunge to the floor. So although this pathway is simple, there are some prerequisites involved, and there are other pathways if you don't own these ranges of motion quite yet that I can break down for you. Just let me know in the comments and I will address them as needed. So we're going to be needing something to hold on to. I have my stick mobility sticks. You can also do this if you have something like a step stool nearby. We can help push down on that. We will eventually try this without that support. And if you don't need that support, you don't have to use that. But something like a step stool or some sticks to push down on, or even a wall to push into, will probably be beneficial as we break down this movement. So let's start with the shin box. The shin box at any angle, so it could be this open shin box or a closed off shin box, is going to be the easiest way to get up to the knees. And then the knees is the easiest way to get up to standing from the floor. We will piece together the shin box first and then the kneeling to the standing piece. Let's grab onto our sticks or the step stool, and we're going to start with the left leg in front of our shin box. As we're getting into this position, try not to grab your legs and move them. We want the hips to be able to move the legs rather than the hands picking up to move the legs. That's just going to make your hips much stronger and able to do your basic everyday functions like getting up and down off the floor. So the left leg is in front. This hip is going to be an external rotation, and this hip, the right leg, is going to be an internal rotation. So we've got some hip rotation going on here. If you're feeling like the left hip is really holding you back here, or the right hip is really holding you back in this position, it could be a hip rotation issue that you might want to address separately. So we're also assessing the movements of the joints while we're doing this get up variation. So the sticks are going to be out in front of you. Now, they don't have to be anywhere specific. So you could lean them out towards the left slightly or towards the right, whatever feels good for you. We're really just using them as support to get up onto the knees. So from this shin box position, we're using the rotation of the hips. So right now they're in a deep rotation. Once we get up to the knees, the hips won't be strained as much in that rotation. So getting from here to here is the hardest part. Once we're here, this is usually a more comfortable position than being down here on the floor. So it's just getting there that's difficult. So I want you to, as we go up onto the knees and the shins, I want you to imagine that you're squeezing the floor together between those two legs. That's going to help engage those inner thighs and the inner tissues of the hip to bring those hips underneath you. So we're going to use the sticks as assistance for now. Now, if you can lean forward, we're going to lean forward and put some weight on the sticks or your step stool, and then squeeze that floor together to come up onto the knees. So my glutes are engaged here. My inner thighs are squeezing, and I'm still in that slight rotation, right? And then I want you to lean forward again to bring those hips back down to the floor. We're focusing on that left hip mostly. The right hip might not reach the floor, and then we'll come up again. So let's drill that pathway. So we're going to lean forward onto the sticks, drive the sticks into the floor, squeeze the floor together to come on up. The goal here is to bring those hips all the way underneath you. So you might feel a stretch in the inner thighs. You might really feel those glutes working and even some hamstrings here. Then we're going to lean forward and back to an upright shin box position. Then we're going to lean forward again. We're going to do that 4 more times, squeezing together to come on up. And slowly lower back down. Play with where the sticks are being placed, how much tension you're using on those sticks, right? Squeezing together. If you need to adjust at the top by squeezing those legs even closer together, go ahead and do that. Slowly come back down. Last 2. You could even lean more towards that right hip here as you come up. Slowly lower back down. Again, thinking of that left hip reaching the floor first. The right hip might stay off of the floor, especially since it's in that internal rotation. Let's go one more time, all the way up, and then slowly lower back down. All right, so now let's switch sides. Right leg is gonna go in front. Once again, trying not to move those legs with the hands. We'll use those sticks again. Now, if this feels really good, if you're ready to progress, I'll show you the progressed version, which is just using one stick for support. You're gonna probably want this stick on the same side as the front leg, since that is usually where we tend to lean in our shin box position, right? So I'm gonna hold this outside of that right leg as I shift forward, and we'll do the same thing. Squeeze that floor together, push down on those sticks or that step stool to come on up. Try to bring those hips underneath you and then slowly lower back down. So we'll do 6 of these as well on this side. You're gonna notice that one side probably feels better than the other, and that's totally normal. That's just how the hips rotate within their capsules is gonna determine which side is easier than the other. So if this side is a little bit more challenging, it could be that the right hip doesn't wanna externally rotate as much as the left hip, or it could be the left hip doesn't want to internally rotate as much as the right hip. Good, last 2, shifting forward to come on up. So this is a perfectly great warm-up for the hips, honestly, going in and out of rotation if you're doing some squats, let's say, where you're gonna need that external and internal rotation and getting into this deep hip flexed position, right? One more, all the way up and down. So let's just try a few more. We're going to challenge this movement, and we're going to try this, if that felt good, without any support at all. We're just going to do 3. So we'll go back to that left leg in front. Now we're going to reach our hands forward. So you could do this with the hands on the hips or not using the upper body at all. But since we are really just working the function of getting off the floor without using your hands on the ground, we can reach them forward as a counterbalance. So let's try that. So reach forward. Imagine you have those sticks. We're squeezing that floor together, and then slowly come back down. And then you could progress it if you'd like. Let's do 2 more. Leaning forward to squeeze on up, and then slowly lowering back down. And 1 more on this side. If it feels better with those sticks for today, just go back to that regression with those sticks and come back down until you have the strength in the hips to be able to get up and down without them. Let's try 1 more time on the right side. I'll show you from this angle this time. We're gonna lean forward, squeeze that floor together to come up, and slowly coming back down. And we'll go 2 more, leaning forward, squeezing up, and leaning forward. Right hip comes back down, and we'll go 1 more time, squeeze it back up, and then slowly lower. That is the first half of getting up off of the floor, or the second half of getting down to the floor. So once we're up on the knees, then we work the lunges. So from here, if I want to stand up from here, all I have to do is step this leg forward, and I'm in a lunge, and then I shift forward to stand up, right? So that's the next piece that we're going to be working on. So let's go back to the sticks or the step stool or the wall, whatever you're holding on to. And we're gonna use a towel or a slider, or if you're wearing socks and you're on slippery floor, that works too. You could, of course, just step your leg back into a lunge as well. I like to feel the tension throughout the movement to really load that front leg as we go into this movement. So if we don't have the sticks, right, if I have my right leg forward first, left foot on the slider, I'm gonna use that left hand on the step stool to help from this low split squat position to help push me back up. Right? And if I do have the sticks, they're just going to go at 11 and 1 o'clock, not too far in front of that right foot. What we're going to do is we're going to press down into that slider. So we're going to create tension throughout this entire lunge. But I want you to try to keep most of your weight on this right leg. So we're really reaching that left knee. We want it to get to the floor, but it's going to be easier if most of that weight is on the right leg. That's how we're going to be able to use momentum to get up off of the floor from that shin box position. So we want that left knee to come down, but we're trying to keep most of the weight on the right leg. So let's drive that left foot down into the slider or your sock or your towel. We're going to drive those sticks down into the floor, and we're just going to basically hang on those sticks as we slide the leg out. So we're Continuously using tension getting into this position. I'm trying to lengthen the floor between those 2 feet, feeling a stretch in that front of the left hip, and then we're gonna drive down, shifting forward onto that right leg and drag that left foot up behind you, right? Let's go again. Shifting into that split squat. So we really want most of the weight to be on the right leg, but we want to stretch in that left hip and drive down to come back up. Especially if you feel pain in the knee of the back leg in lunges, this will be an easier variation for you than a traditional lunge in this 90-degree angle, right? So we're shifting back into that split, coming on up. Even though there's tension in that left leg, which we'll need to jump off of, we want most of that weight, about 70% of the weight in the right leg. Pull yourself up, drive the left leg down. Let's do 2 more like this. Pulling into that stretch. Pushing down with that left foot, but pulling yourself up. If you have the sticks, you're gonna push down, obviously, if you're using a step stool. One more time, going into that split and push down to come up. Let's switch sides and I'll show you a progressed version with the stick or a support. So if you were using just one step stool, you're already doing the progressed version, but you're gonna want that support in the same arm as the leg that's sliding back. And then we're gonna do that again for 6 on this side. So now we're sliding down with that left leg in front, trying to keep most of the weight on that left leg. And obviously if you're just using one hand, this is a progression because now you don't have both hands able to assist you on the way up. Just gonna push down to come back up. And we'll do that 5 more times, sliding down into that lunge. You might find a little stretch here in that front hip. We just don't wanna push into that lower back, right? So keep that chest slightly forward and back up. And again, so I like these sliders once again because we can use tension throughout the entire pattern of the movement instead of just a reverse lunge, stepping into it and stepping back out of it. It can be a little clunky. So we're just doing this to keep it nice and smooth. And we will go into that lunge without the slider in just a minute. Good, we're gonna do 2 more, keeping the weight on that left leg. Once again, this is also a really good warm-up if you're about to do lunges or even deadlifts, just working that extension of the back hip, getting those glutes activated and up. All right, so now we'll do a progress version. We'll keep the slider for the first 2 and step into the last rep. So we'll go back to that left foot. Left foot is on the slider. We can go hands on hips or hands out in front, which is similar to that shin box with the hands out in front. We're just trying to reach our body weight forward to get our weight onto that front leg. So keep driving down into the floor with that slider as we shift into that split squat, reaching the hands forward to keep most weight on this right leg. It's like a squat on this right leg. Push down to come up. 1 more, you can progress to hands on the hips. And back up. And then let's do that 1 more time. This time you can take away that foot so we can step down into that lunge. But keep that same intention. We're trying to reach the left knee down, keep most of the weight on the right leg, and then think of jumping off that left leg to come back up. Let's try that on the other side. You can do any of those progressions for all 3 of these reps. Standing on the left foot, right foot is on the slider. We can start with those arms out in front. Drive tension down into that right foot, keeping most weight on this left foot. Push down to come back up. You can progress to hands on the hips without using those hands as a counterbalance, finding that stretch and coming back up. And then finally, we can step into that lunge, stepping back, trying to keep, once again, most of the weight on that left leg, and then lean forward, reach to come back up. Great. So now all we have to do is put it all together. So we could go back to our sticks. We're going to try just a couple with the left leg in front, going from shin box to that lunge all the way up to standing. So you're going to go with whatever felt good, whichever placement felt good with those sticks to come up to the shin box. So we're going to break it down into our pieces before we put it all together. So we're going to lean forward, drive the sticks down to come up. Now from here, we have to shift to the lunge. This is a tricky moment, especially if you don't have something for support. This has to be quick. So we need to get this right leg in front. You could, scooch those legs together and then step forward into a lunge. But if we're doing this nice and seamlessly, we are going to need to step the right leg towards wherever the left knee is pointing. So my left knee is pointing this way right now. I'm going to kind of shift my sticks that way, turn my chest that way. So I'm anticipating that shift of weight in that rotation, right? So go ahead and find wherever your left knee is pointing, shift those sticks. Then you're going to quickly shift your way onto the left foot, bring the right knee forward. Don't forget to tuck the toes under on the left leg to shift up to standing. Then we can reverse that movement. So we're going to step the same leg back, the left leg back into a lunge. So this is just like the slider. We're leaning forward, so most of the weight is on the right leg. Then you can shift back to that half kneeling position. Now we're going to reverse that. Untuck the toes. Bring the sticks back to the right so that you can quickly squeeze that right leg behind the left and then lean forward back to your shin box. Let's try that one more time. This will take a few tries to get down, right? Let's lean forward up onto the shin box. Now we're going to turn the sticks in the body, anticipating that step forward. Shift your way forward into that lunge position. Don't forget to tuck the toes under so that after you lean forward, you can really jump off of that back leg and then reverse it. Step the left leg down. Shift your weight back to untuck the toes. Turn the body to anticipate the right leg squeezing back around and back to that left hip. Let's try that on the right hip, and then we'll try a few more going a little bit faster. So the right hip is in front. I have my sticks. I'm going to lean forward onto my sticks to help squeeze that shin box. I'm going to turn the sticks towards wherever my right knee is pointing, and I'm going to make that shift quickly. Tuck the toes under on the right foot, shift forward to stand up, jumping off that right leg, and then we'll reverse it, stepping back down to the right leg. Come back up onto the knees, untuck the toes, shift the sticks to swipe the left leg back, and slowly come back down. Let's try that one more time, nice and slow. Lean forward onto the sticks to come up. Shift the body, anticipate that step forward. Tuck the toes under, lean forward to stand up, and then reverse it, stepping back. Get that kneeling position. Turn the body and the sticks, untuck the toes, swipe the left leg back, and then sit back down to that right hip and rest. So if that felt good, we can put those sticks away. If we're still working on that progression, keep those sticks or your step stool, whatever you're using for support. If you needed more support with the shin box than the lunge or vice versa, then you can set up your stool accordingly. But sometimes the sticks and the step stool can kind of get in the way. When it comes to getting up and down off the floor, it's not always so precise with the angles that you're moving in. I could also swipe this left leg back into that lunge and I could just keep my body traveling this same direction, right? I could even from here, like I said, scooch my knees together to get to that lunge, right? If you're going down from that lunge position, even if this left knee is down, you could switch to going down to that right hip. So this is just a basic blueprint, but sometimes once we get the movement down with the support and don't need it anymore, then you can really start playing with that up and down movement. It doesn't always need to be in the same direction or on the same side. So left leg in front. We're going to try two more without that support. So I have my shin box, right? I'm going to lean forward and here we go. Up onto the shins, right? Make that transition, whatever it is. Lean forward, push off the left foot to stand, and then reverse it. Step the left leg back. You can untuck the toes, swipe that right leg back into that shin box as you slowly sit back down. And let's go one more time. You can progress 2 hands on the hips, or you can go a little bit faster. Whatever you'd like to do to progress. Come on up, step the leg forward, shift forward to stand, and reverse it down, back to shin box, and release. Let's try the right side. So right leg is in front, face this direction. We're going to shift forward onto those shins, step the right leg forward to stand up, Right leg goes back down to the lunge. Back to the shin box. And we'll go again. Shifting up, step the leg, jump off that right leg into that standing position, step the right leg back down. Slowly lower to that hip and rest. All right, that's it. I hope you found this helpful in helping you get off the ground and breaking that down into pieces. Maybe found a couple movement or two for your movement prep or warm-ups. If you're having trouble with one shin box or the other, I want you to keep practicing that side that's challenging a little bit more, but you can also close that shin box up. So we can be in this side seated position to help get up onto your knees if that's gonna help, right? So I want you to basically just be able to get up and down no matter which knee is down in the lunge, no matter which hip is down in the shin box. All right. If you have any questions about these movements, drop them in the comments below. If you found this helpful, please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.